I
It's
like The
time.
Shining, but honestly, man, I don't know. I like it a lot, and I probably need to see it again. But it's not one of my all-time favorite movies. But it's great. I love it.
I love seeing it in the theater. For a long time was my favorite Kubrick film. I don't know if it is anymore.
It's not for me.
What's your favorite Kubrick film?
Barry Lyndon is up there,
Yeah,
and I would even say that Eyes Wide Shut is up there, and 2001 is up there. Those are like
obviously
my top
2001 is
ones.
up there.
His war movies like Past the Glory and Full Metal Jacket are good, but they're not my favorites.
Yeah.
And oh no, Shining's good, but I just prefer those other ones that I mentioned.
Yeah. I think part of the reason I love The Shining so much, and I've talked about this before, is there definitely is something nostalgic about it because it was very early in my movie watching career. It was the first Kubrick movie I ever saw. It was really early in my horror career because I did not like horror movies growing up. I hated horror movies because when I was 9 or 10, I went and saw a horror movie. I have no idea what the movie was to this day. I've never seen the movie again. I had no idea what it was called, but it turned me off from horror movies for a long time. And so The Shining was my first trek back into horror movies. And one of the things that's so interesting about this film, and we talk about giallo films in the sense of things are just not quite right. I mean, they're not surrealist, or at least early giallo films. They're not surrealist in the sense of ghosts and monsters, but there's something that's just doesn't work quite right. And there's a scene early on in The Shining, which it's a long oneer, in which Jack Nicholson walks into the Overlook Hotel. There's still people walking around cleaning out. And this is the first time you get like the shape of the hotel. And he walks through the hotel into the middle of the hotel and he goes into this guy's office where he has this meeting. And what you don't realize on first watching, but having watched it a couple of times, is this guy has a window behind him. But then you think about that shot and where this office is, and it's right in the middle of the hotel, so it can't work. Like it
Yeah,
doesn't
stuff
make
like that
sense.
is yeah, stuff like that is like fucking cool.
And there's a lot of moments like that. Like they talk about the Overlook Hotel is always closed in the winter. Since the beginning, it's always been closed in the winter because it costs too much to plow the snow. But throughout the film, you'll see advertisements on the walls for like skiing and snowboarding. And it's like, well, right, that doesn't make any sense. If it's never been open, why do you have all these
Yeah.
advertisements? And there's lots of stuff like that. And I think that's one of the things about this film is a lot of the film is hidden in the details. It's all these little moments kind of
Yeah.
on the side that hide away. And so it's one of those movies that I always enjoy watching again because every time I watch it, there's just a new little thing. And of course, the big story itself. I mean, Jack Nicholson going crazy and trying to kill his wife and kid is incredibly enjoyable. Of course, it broke Shelley Duvall, unfortunately, which is less than great. Not a huge fan of
Which
that.
by the way, by the way, I just want to say, Austin, but that is untrue actually. Shelley Duvall has said on the record she was not that broken by the
Oh, it's a
movie.
myth.
You're spreading misinformation. This happens
Wow.
sometimes on Twitter where someone will bring it up
Yeah.
and then they'll
And you
specifically
see it
like
a lot. Yeah.
reference like quotes and stuff that Shelley Duvall made where she's like, no, that's not
So
true.
she's okay.
Well, I mean, she's dead now, so
Well, yeah, I guess it depends who
but
you
like
ask.
I think it's been exaggerated the fact that like
Okay.
the movie traumatized her, fucked her up or whatever.
Well, that's good.
Maybe
I'm
at
happy.
least exaggerated.
I'm happy to hear that. And I apologize to all of our listeners for spreading such
You're spreading
horrendous
misinformation.
information.